Yes, guys. Today we will discuss about uh, our another storage option. So that was databases. So previously we have seen with respect to the EBS, that is the elastic block storage, and we have seen the EFS, elastic file system. So a kind of storages that is being offered by the AWS. So apart from that, so we have another model of, so we have seen even S3 also, simple storage service. So to store the objects. Post to that, so the AWS is offering managed database services. So we have databases, we have the various kinds of popular databases. That could be Oracle, that could be MySQL, Postgres, that could be DynamoDB, various databases, popular databases were there. So previously, we have to install them as a client onto our missions and you have to make use of them. So since it is a cloud offering, so AWS coming up with their own database services, that is our database services, AWS database services. What kind of services they are offering? So what are its features? And we will see in the current session. So whatever the popular databases were there, so that could be RDS, relational database services. In that category could be MySQL or that could be NoSQL, PostgreSQL. So whatever the popular databases were there, so AWS, whatever the database engines was there, so all those database engines is being supported by our AWS. On top of that, AWS is offering some additional features. So what are those? We'll see in this current session. So with respect to the databases, what could be a cloud engineer responsibilities in a day to day, what he will do? So these things will come back post creation of our databases and post understanding how a database will works on the AWS cloud infrastructure. So if you go inside, so we have an option called Amazon RDS. So stands for the relational database services, which will use the SQL as a query language. It's a kind of SQL databases, but it is being offered by Amazon with the name RDS. So this RDS stands for Relational Database Services. Wherever the structured query language was there, so that structured query language databases were being so supported by our RDS. So it will support the following database engines under the SQL category. So previously the legacy we have Postgres, very reliable and stable for workloads. MySQL, a popular open source database. MariaDB, so Oracle. So this is the Microsoft SQL Server. So these are the popular database engines in the real time. So that is being previously we used to do. So in case you have an application, so this application is supposed to write some data to the databases. So you have to think of depends upon your kind of application, your kind of data. So if it is a relational data, if it is a SQL data, we're supposed to think of these things: SQL, MySQL, MariaDB, Oracle, and Microsoft SQL Server. So Amazon Aurora is the AWS proprietary. So this is not commercial. It is a AWS proprietary. So my RDS supports all these DB engines. Hey, I am handy with MySQL, but I do not want to install MySQL on physical server on my PC. Let MySQL available on AWS itself. Why? Because my entire application, my entire workloads were on AWS infrastructure. So my application was an EC2 instance. So I am making use of EBS volumes. I am making use of the EFS storage and I am making use of even S3 too. At the same time, I want SQL features to write my data. Why? Because the data that is coming from my application. So a user might be registered. I need to store his data. So some payments is being happened. So that data I want to store it. The data is being coming from the application. So the data I need to write it to the MySQL. So let us provide the SQL capabilities on my AWS itself. This is the thought process. So the AWS come up with these DB engines and they started giving the database services too. how it is being happening, we'll come to know the moment I will create a database on AWS infrastructure. So previously, so what is the advantage of RDS? So I'm saying that AWS is offering RDS, relational database services. So compared to deploying or installing a database on EC2, previous method. So previously, so I am saying here on EC2, apart from that, so you can deploy the previous use of databases. So I have to take the application that could be MySQL or Oracle. So we'll get a package or image. We have to download it, or you have to install it into you have to install it on a virtual server or a physical server, and you have to make use of it. Its capabilities. The ultimate aim is storing the data, writing the data, and reading the data. Some data was there in my database. I want to read it, and I have some data. I want to write it to my database. So I want to store it. You need a database. So that needs to be multiple ways for the storing the data. It can be called, it can go in a structured manner. So if it's go in a structured manner, it will be called as a SQL manner. It might go for NoSQL or non-SQL manner, non-structured data. So non-structured data, any kind of data, if the data was well organized, so well structured, so then it called a SQL data. Okay, so what is RDS benefits rather than going for your regular use of database? So previous way, so if you want to make use of it, I suppose install it and make use of it. What is the benefits of or advantage of RDS compared to the traditional way? So we have automated provisioning, OS patching of your DB instances. So provisioning, you can automate it. I can make use of the cloud formation template, or I can make use of any third-party IAC tools, infrastructure as a code tools, and I can automate the provision. So in the very next moment, I can create a database for my application purpose. That action can be automated on my database, on my AWS. At the same time, so OS patching. So your server requires OS patching over the time for the updates. So that will be taken care by the AWS itself. So once the moment you create a database on the AWS, you no need to think about the OS patch. It will be taken care by AWS itself. And there is a continuous automated backups, and you can restore it to the specific timestamp. Hey, some data is being written to my database, so I want to discard the data. For suppose being on Monday morning, so I logged in at Monday morning, so I'm not happy with the data that is being written to the database on Saturday or Sunday. So discard the data. Hey, go back to the specific point. So revert back my database to the point on where I being exited. So Friday evening, I exited. So whatever the data is being written on Saturday and Sunday, discard it. So restore to specific timestamp is possible. So with the help of your backups, I have the backups. You can go back to a specific timestamp. So that we will see how it can be done in the backups. So in my manual way, if I need a backup, I have to do it manually. So, but I can automate the process. So you can see it. It is supposed to just giving a check-in. So while creating a just if you click automated backups enable, so an automatic backup will be enabled and it will be stored in the backups. So we have a monitoring dashboards. So with AWS RDS, we have the dashboards. So we do not have this feature in my traditional databases. We have an additional feature called read replica. So what exactly read replica? We'll spend some amount of time. So we'll have a feature called read replica, and we have a feature called multi-AG. In traditional way, you cannot go for the multi-AG deployment. So here you can go for the multi-AG. So we will discuss what exactly multi-AG and what exactly read replica to improve your read and write capabilities. We'll discuss extensively. Post to that, we have the maintenance windows for upgrades. So I am saying that a regular upgrade is required. So when you want to upgrade it, so it is not like that whenever you want upgrade it. So assume, so 9 to 4 is my peak hours. So it is not like that straight away. It is not like that straight away. I want to update it whenever I want. It is not like that. Hey, there won't be any transactions between 12 to 1 a.m. in the midnight. So do whatever the activities you want to do only at that time. It is a practice. So we have the maintenance windows. At the same time, it has a scaling capability with respect to the vertical and horizontal. Scaling capability, if I say, your database comes up with your instance type or instance size. So it will tells us your input and output operations and read and write operations. By changing your instance type, you can get the better IO and you can get the better storage. So we have the scaling capabilities. So vertical way and horizontal way. If you want to add additional database instances is a possible, and it is a possible vertical way. Increase the size of my DB instance. So your RDS is being running with the help of an instance underneath, but you will not have an access to that. But to run your database, an underneath instance is required. So I will show it while creating it. So that can be increased over the time. So at the same time, so my storage is being backed by EBS. If you deploy your database on virtual server, so some of your virtual server memory is being taken by your database to write and to read and write. So where the data will be written? So if it is a virtual server or legacy server, physical server, so if it is required to write some data, you have to allocate some space from your virtual server. But this is not the case if you deploy a DB instance in the AWS cloud. Why? Because we have a dedicated storage services such as EBS. So you can write your data to EBS. So storage is being backed by EBS of types GP and IO for the high performance purpose. So this is the advantage of going for your RDS compared to your traditional databases. So it is a managed service. So as I told, so the moment you created a database, so there will be an underneath instance which is running your database. So that could be EO, that could be IO operations or read operations, whatever that could be. There will be an underneath instance. So you do not have any access to that particular EC2. So your motive is accessing database. So that needs to be run, that will be taken care by the AWS. But if you try to access your server, that is the underneath server, you do not have any access to that. So it is not required actually. So underneath, that could be T3 medium, 2 micro. So whatever that could be, it is being running by the machine. It is being running by a server. Hey, you are not allowed to access it. So just you have access to access your database. So access it and leave it. So you do not have any access to underneath machine. It is a straightforward. But nowadays, so the AWS comes up with RDS custom option that is explicitly only for the Oracle engine and the Microsoft engine. This is an exceptional case, but straight away keep it in the mind. So do I have capabilities of SSHing into the DB instance straight away? No. So database needs to run. That needs to be deployed on a mission. That mission is called a DB instance. Can I log in into SSH the way I am previously use it to do like my EC2? It is not possible. To run a DB, I need an instance. Instance will take care of running my DB. But do we have a permission to access it? The response was no. In traditional, no. But exception was there. Exception was RDS custom, not RDS. We have an RDS custom. So that too for only Oracle and the Microsoft SQL server. So we'll come to know while doing some hands-on what exactly instance and why we cannot access into it. So as I told, we have a storage auto scaling provision. So apart from the scalability with respect to my instance, DB instance, so we have an option with respect to storage auto scaling too. So this is Amazon RDS. I have created it. So it is writing some data into storage that could be read and write. Users are accessing it and writing some data. So some allocation I have given, suppose some 200 storage has been given. I want to enable storage auto scaling. So it's a do. So you can enable it and you have to keep a maximum threshold. So when the scaling will happen, the possible cases. So in case your allocated space, your storage was less than 10% of allocated storage, or your low storage available for last 15 minutes, or 6 hours have been passed since the last modification. So on the combination of these criteria, so if there is a less than 10% of storage of allocated storage, so it will go for the allocation. These two again need to think of it. So there should be minimum 6 hours gap between the two concurrent changes. So go inside. So read replicas for the scalable. So what is the read replica? Those things we'll get understanding. So what is read replica? What is the multi-age deployment? So what are its use cases? So we'll get a better understanding if I go inside. So let me go to my console and let me create a database for you. So go to the console. So click on RDS. So RDS is the database on my database on AWS. So Aurora and RDS. So they together kept in a single instance. So what is the alternative to my RDS? Hey Venkat. So what is an alternate to my database? Is it required every time I need to create a database? For suppose I need to make use of my database. Am I supposed to go for your AWS offering RDS? So RDS is the AWS offering. Hey, I am not happy with your service. What are the alternate ways? How can I make use of my database? Okay, you are not happy. I'm not bothered about it. So take your virtual machine. The virtual machine nothing but EC2. Deploy your EC2 and take your MySQL software from outside. So MySQL is an open source. So get the MySQL. If it is a MySQL, take MySQL. If it is the Postgres, so take Postgres software. Or if it is a MariaDB, so these are the open source databases. Take the software and install it on the EC2 instance and make use of it. This is the one. So installing it on EC2, so everything need to be taken care by you. Just like, so previously I used it to install on virtual servers or the physical servers. Now I am installing it onto the EC2. So the same issues again I have to face. If I install it on my EC2, again I have to face the similar issues. So what are those issues? So these are the issues I have to face again. So there won't be any automated provisioning. There won't be any automated backups. There won't be any dashboards. No read replica, no multi-age deployment, no windows, no scaling capabilities. So once the moment you deployed, so coming to the storage, so whatever the EC2 have storage, that could be EBS or EC2. So some of your EC2 storage being taken by your MySQL software. That is another way, but we have a managed way. So let me think of managed way. So go to the my Aurora and RDS console. So you want to create a database for your application purpose to store the data. So go to the DB instances. So we have a provision to create a database. So here engine options we have. So these many engines my AWS is supporting. I can create either MySQL type so these are again proprietary. First two I will discuss again. So Aurora MySQL compatible is there. Aurora Postgres is there. They are straight away AWS proprietary. So they are not the open source or community based databases. So those I will discuss later. First discuss the open source database engines. MySQL, Postgres, MariaDB, Oracle, so Microsoft SQL Server and IBM DB. So these are the open source database engines. So previously the large community outside the people, they're supposed to make use of it. So they will provide the software. So you will get those software, you will install on it, and you will supposed to make use of it in previous days. So now also my AWS is offering a managed service. Take that engine. So I will also offering the service. Let me take this engine. So just go inside. For time being, I am creating a MySQL database, MySQL RDS. Database was RDS, but database engine was MySQL. So let me drill down. So what is so you can, if you want to change the engine version, so you can change the engine version. So but time being, let me go as it was 8.0.41. So I have templates. What kind of database you want to build? Either it is for the production, dev or test environment or the free type. So you have the free type. So you have a dev or test, the VHS will be varied. So our production. So let me demonstrate production grade database, how it will be. So I have with respect to the availability and durability, just now I discussed. So I can go for the multi-AG, so I can go for the single AG. So if you go for the multi-AG, so your database will have a standby. So whatever the write or read is there. So think of this multi-AG DB cluster or multi-AG instance deployment. So single AG DB instance. So first let me think of single AG. So your database will be created in a single availability zone. So we have discussed what exactly single AG. So inside the region, so your database will be kept in a single AG. So if something happened to this AG, your database is going to be unaccessible. So your database is being lost. So to improve the availability, I can go for the multi-AZ. So if I go for the multi-AZ, what is the scenario? Let me choose a multi-AZ deployment. So there will be two instances will be launched. So the main will be the primary instance will be in the AZ region, AZ1, which is a read and write endpoint. So look at the word carefully. So do not confuse with the read replica. The read replica also will come into the picture. I am saying the multi-AZ, multiple availability zones. If I say multi-AZ, there will be a primary instance where read and write together will happen at here. And there will be a standby without any endpoint. There will be a standby. Nothing will happen here. So everything will happen with respect to the primary instance. In case something happened to my AZ1, whatever the data is available at primary instance, everything will be replicated to the standby with the synchronous replication. The replication was synchronous replication. Whatever the data was there at primary, the same will be available at the standby. Look at the terminology, standby. So it won't give the any read or write. So it is simply sitting aside. The moment something happened to my primary, the secondary come into the picture or the standby come into the picture. The AZ event went down. Immediately it will be fail over to the standby. So your database is still accessible using the standby. This is the multi-AZ concept. It is a two instance. If it is a cluster for the high availability, if I make it as a cluster, again, my standbys do nothing. Everything will be written to the primary and the data will be replicated to your standby. So the moment the primary went down, so your standbys becomes your primary. So whatever the data is available, the same data will be available at the AZ2 and AZ3. Since it is a synchronous replication, the same read and write operations, I can do it. So this is your multi-AZ deployment. Pay highest attention here. So just give a identifier. So let me give it database 3. So we have to set the master username. So just like a username. So since it's a database, so some username and passwords are required. So let me keep it as an admin. So we have an option to manage your AWS, your database username and password using the AWS Secrets Manager. So I will discuss Secrets Manager in explicit manner. So yes, this service explicitly discussed what exactly Secret Manager and how to store your secrets in the Secrets Manager. For time being, let me keep it as a self-manager. So set some password. So I am giving a password here. So the password is weak. No problem. Let it be for time being. So I'm just giving a traditional password such that it can be remembered. So coming to the instance configuration, this is the picture. I am deploying my database engine. Where do you want to deploy it? So I have a standard classes. I have the memory optimized classes. I have the bustable classes. So if your workload is unpredictable, so go for the bustable classes. Why? Because so they will scale up automatically with respect to their traffic. So for time being, let me choose db.t3.micro, which is the cheapest one. So let me go with the cheapest one, bustable classes. But I have a standard memory optimized bustable. So for my database, MySQL is the engine and this is the my instance. I am keeping it on this instance. So db.t3.micro. So as I told, you do not have any access. You cannot SSH into this instance. It is not required. Hey, your work was with the database. Go to the database, take care of work and leave. That's it. So something is required, I can take care. AWS will take care. So coming to the storage, as I told, storage is being backed by the EBS. So let me choose the storage. IO1, IoT is the costly. For the demonstration, I will choose the GP2. So 20 is the lowest possible storage, 20 GB. So let me give the 20 GB. See, as you see, it is the 20 GB is the minimal. So you cannot go less than that. So GP2 on 20 GB. So if you go to the additional storage configuration, I told, hey, you have an option to auto scale your storage. If I check in here, so I can keep some threshold. Hey, do not go beyond 100. So even though it is allowed to go, so do not go beyond 100. So I can keep the threshold. For time being, I am disabling it. I not require it for the demonstration purpose. So, but just I am showing it. Under the connectivity, so a database is being created. What it needs to be done. So in the real time, it's supposed to connect to a EC2 instance. So, or I can keep it aside. So I can set it for the do not connect to EC2 compute resource, or I can provide simply credentials. So in case explicitly I want to connect to an EC2 instance, so my application was in particular EC2 instance, very rare case, it won't happen like that. So my intention was not to restrict usage to one EC2 instance, but you can fix it. In case you are making use of only one EC2 instance, that EC2 instance want to write to my database. So this is the use case. You can connect it to your EC2 resource. But I am not choosing that option. So network type, you have the dual stack, either IPv4 or IP6. So IPv4 is sufficient for me for time being. So let me keep it IPv4. So where do you want to place your database? In which VPC? So we have seen creating the custom VPCs. You may have the multiple VPCs in your project. So in which VPC you want to place it? So the moment I choose in the VPC, so we have an option to choose the DB subnet group. So where do you want to place it? So we have seen the creating the public subnets, private subnets, all those things. In the real time, you have to keep your subnet, you have to keep your database explicitly in the private subnets. Why? Because the data present in the your database was very critical. We have to place explicitly in the private subnet. There is no chance of public subnet. So for time being, I'm keeping it in the default VPC. So choose this subnet group. So public access. To demonstrate it, I'm providing the public access to establish the connection between my EC2, like between the database and my third-party connectors, DB client. I'm saying yes. Otherwise, so there won't be any public access in the real time. So no public access. You need to keep it in the private subnet, and then the connection will be established through the NOT gateway. We have seen like the traffic support. So if you want to update your DB instance, the request will go through the private subnet, like your private subnet resources, NAT gateway, internet gateway, and route tables. So straight away, you won't provide the public access in real time. Think of it strictly. So for demonstration, so to connect to it my database from outside, so I am saying yes for timing, but real time it won't happen. So I want to provide an additional layer of security, so that can be done using your security group, which is a firewall. So just like my EC2 instance, just like my other services, your DB also can be secured using your security group. So if you want to okay with previous DBs, if you want to okay with DBs, so just choose the SG. So in case if you are not happy with your DBs, you can create a new. So let me create a new. So I will say like ACS, so RDS DB and version 1. So this is my new VPC security group I am attaching to my DB. So if it is required, I can attach a certificate to make it secure. For time being, I am not choosing it. So the database can be accessed. A default host was 330. The RDS default port was 3306. So I am using connecting here. So database authentication. Hey, someone tried to access your database. What is the way of connecting it? So you can go for the password authentication. So you have another options like I am database authentication, Kerberos authentication. So it works with your AD. So your organization was maintaining, for suppose, Active Directory. So at a time, whoever people's present in the Active Directory trying to access your database, they can access it. So that is the Kerberos. So there is a technology, there is a methodology called AD, Active Directory. So peoples will be added to the Active Directory. All people will get automatically access to access the database. It is the organization level permissions. For time being, so let me keep it password authentication. So monitoring. So as I told, you can monitor your database. What is the CPU utilization? How many read and writes are happening? So how many invocations are happening? How many active connections were there? So these things can be checked under the monitoring. So I am not enabling the enhanced monitoring. So for timing, I've not required all these options. So it will cost something for me. So let me keep it aside. So still I am being charging some $41 per month if I launch it. So let it be. So the moment I am creating it, so I want to create a database also. So this is the database engine I am creating. So let me have a initial database also. So let me create an initial database. I will say so demo database or a practical proper suppose ACS database. So specific to a specific project I am giving the name. So I am saying ACS DB. So ACS is my project. So DB is the database. Or say let me say ACS DB1. So you can keep these things for the you can keep these things for the default. So think of here. Yeah. So I am creating initially database on the MySQL type. So here you have to give it. Otherwise, there won't be any database within your database. So go inside. So I said we have automated backups. So you can set it the days, how long it needs to be in your backups. The maximum was only 35 days. So the RDS data backs were frequent. So you don't want to be no longer available in the here. So if you want them, you can send them to the S3. So in the real time, so if you want to store your database backups for longer than the 35 days, so you can send it to the S3s. This is a quite common practice. So let me enable it, but set it to the one. So if I set it to the zero, it will become so. So it is not being enabled. So zero means no backups. So set it for one day for time being. So backup window, as I told. So there is a backup window. So when it can be done. So choose a specific time. So at the time the backup will happen. So next to that encryption. So if you want to encrypt your data, it can be encrypted using your default KMS key. How it will be done, you'll see in the under the KMS service. So maintenance window. So as I told, we have a maintenance windows. Hey, do not do the maintenance in the middle of active hours. So morning 10 to evening 7 business hours. There is a very chances of high business. There is a very chances of high read and writes. Do not do the maintenance during the uh, working hours. Do it in at a certain point of time. So when it needs to be done. So when it needs to be happened. So specific day and a specific time. So you can choose a specific window if it is required. So and enable the deletion protection. If someone try to delete it, so they cannot delete it if I check it. So it will ask that, hey, enable deletion protection has been enabled. Go change the settings and then delete it. If I enable it, for time being, I'm not keeping it. So if I enable it, I cannot delete it straight away. Again, I need to go to the actions, DB settings, and I have to go there and I have to disable it and then I can come back. So I will be charged some $41. So for my database, if I run it for the 1 month. So this is the 1 month cost. It is a monthly estimated monthly cost. Let me come back. Is there any possible to customize it? I think I'm at in 2 instances. That's why this is charging that much. So let me go for only single AZ deployment. So it might be some 17 to $20. Yeah, some $20. So since I went for the 2 instances, it's charging that $41. I do not require to demonstrate RDS multi-AZ deployment. So multi-AZ deployment, I will demonstrate with respect to the Aurora. So for timing, let me go with the single one. So let me create a database. A database will be created. So make sure the moment your practice is over, try to delete it. Why? Because per hour they will charge us every hour. So some cost will be there, some $0.08 per hour. So the moment you did your demonstration, immediately try to delete it. So it will be in the creating state for some point of time and it will be moved to the available state the moment it is being created. So this is the way of creating your RDS database. So much simpler compared to your legacy or traditional way of creating the databases. So the meantime it is being created, let me go back to some theoretical understanding how to connect to it. So what is the responsibility of a cloud engineer? So once it is being created, okay, the database creation was our responsibility. So it is being created. How to establish the connection? So the moment it is being available, you will get an endpoint here. So this endpoint need to be shared with the this endpoint need to be shared with the developer. So he will code this endpoint to establish the connection between the application and my databases. So I have the additional tabs here. It can be monitored, logs information, so configuration details, so maintenance and backup windows details. You can see those things here. So we'll come back once it's being created. I want to show the DB. I want to show the endpoint. So nothing can be done other than this. So I cannot log in into my SSH. So we have to check only status. So go to the databases. So if they told, hey, there is some issue with my read and write operations, just check. So whether the instance is available or not. So it is an available state. Type was MySQL community. So size was db.it.micro. It's being kept in the South ONA. So this is the information I have. So if it is not multi-AG. The status was multi-AG was no. So I have another DB. Just go inside. So what is the responsibility of cloud engineer? So DB is created fine. So go inside. So this is the previous DB. So go inside. So sharing this endpoint, it's our only responsibility. Cloud engineer create a DB and share this endpoint with the developer and port on which port it is being running. Default, if it is a MySQL, it will be running on 3306. Hey, create it and give it to your developer. He will take care. One step. So another step, so security groups. Hey, I'm not able to write it. My application is not able to write to my database. So check for your firewalls. So this is a security group is being attached to the MySQL. So go inside. So go to the security group. So this is being security group. This is the name I have given ACS SG RDS V1. So go inside, check for the inbound rules. Just like similar to your EC2 instances, you have to have the rules here also. So go to inbound rules. So apart from the all traffic, you just keep it aside. Apart from that, you should have a rule explicitly MySQL and Aurora type. So protocol was TCP. So my DB was listening over the port number 3306. It needs to be here. And from where you want to establish the connection. For suppose your EC2 instance were in a specific IPv4 address. So you can mention that specific range here. For suppose my VPC was 10.0.0.0./16. So explicitly mention this IP address. So means only traffic coming from this VPC can access it. If your EC2, for suppose, your EC2 was in this IP address range, then only it can establish the connection. Otherwise, it cannot access. Outside traffic is not allowed. In case if it is not internet facing, I intentionally open the internet facing for time being, you just discard it. So that's why I can see this rule. So all traffic I can see and all port range I can see. The reason was I enabled the public access. Otherwise, it won't be appear. So the way giving the connections to EC2 instance application. So there is an application on my EC2 instance that is trying to writing access to this database. So for that, I should have a database. I create a database inside ACS DB. I can connect to it. And so check whether the IP address is being allowed or not. So this is the thing. Okay. So one way providing the endpoints, another way changing your security group rules. So nothing I am doing here already is being there. So if it is required, you want to change your IP address range. If it is required, for time being, it is available for all ranges. Okay, let me check what is the status of my database. So DB3. So it is still in backing stage. So backing up stage, let it be. So I enabled the backup. It is the taking the backing up. Let it up. So to connect to this mission, so in what way you can connect to it? So you need a client. So you need a client. So you can take SQL Electron. So there is SQL Electron, so endpoint. So some dbeaver is also there. So you can take up this dbeaver. So this is the dbeaver. You can connect to this mission using this one. Just like Linux or Putty. So we have a Putty to connect to my EC2. Just like, so you need a DB client to connect to your databases. So let me take SQL Electron, which is much simple. So SQL Electron. So SQL Electron. So how to download it? So take this string. So I have a string. I will share the string with you. So Notepad Plus is there, or I supposed to open it? So Notepad Plus. So you take this string. So let me go inside. It's being already installed. I cannot demonstrate again. So let me show, but how it can be done. It is a self-explanatory. So go to this link. So you'll be redirected to the GitHub. So you'll be sent to the SQL Electron GUI, is a graphical user interface. So the latest was 1.38.0. So you'll be redirected to here. So if it is for Windows, just download this package. SQL Electron setup 1.38.0 exe. So I have it for various things. So .dj is there that will works for the Mac. So gz was there. So this is for my Linux operating system. So DMG works for the like MacBook. So I have the various versions. So I am not bothered about all those things. So mine was .exe. So Windows executable file. So you just click on it. So it will ask for the download. So download it and you just install it. So over the installation, how it looks like, I will show. So connect to it. So I have been just opened. So it looks like this. I do not have any DBs here. You just click on add. So just give a random name, any random name. I will name it as a demo. So I'm just, it is about the connection. So name it a connection. So what is the database type? My database type was MySQL. So let me check before that status. What is the status of my mission? My database. You can see that it is available. Yeah, it is available. Just go inside. You can see an endpoint. So you have to provide this endpoint and the port with your developer. Hey, cloud engineer, please create a database with these details. The details will be given by the solutions architect. So whatever the options I have chosen now with respect to all, what is the size of my DB, what is the size of storage, uh, decision about the backup, decision about the uh, encryption, everything. So whatever the options just now I have chosen, everything will be given by the solutions architect in the checklist. So do not get bothered about it. So there is no your discretion. So nothing is left to with your choice. So if something is left to you, there will be some discussion. Hey Venkat, come to the panel. An application is being developed. So it needs an RDS database, which is the good database, which will have the high IO. So what could be the cost incurs? So we want to optimize the cost. What is the choice? Discussion will happen before the creation. So once the decision is being taken in the discussion, so everything a list will be provided. So while creating, so what are the options I need to take? Everything will be listed and it will be provided with you to create your database. So the moment it is being created, so an endpoint is being created. So take this endpoint. So I want to connect to this mission. So you have to paste it at host. So the moment I choose in MySQL, the port will be default 3306. So you need the username and password. So while creating, I had just created a user and I have provided some password to him. So test it. So whether the connection is being establishing or not. Seems to be not happening if it is taking this much time. Definitely there is a problem in invoking. Absolutely. So in which region I am? So I'm in Mumbai region. There is an issue with the VPC. So some permissions were pending at VPC. Let me try to establish connection with my Hyderabad databases. Let me check, is there any databases in my Hyderabad region? Yeah, I have some database here. So let me just demonstrate a similar way. This is also being deployed in a similar way. So of type db.micro. So let me take db this one. So take this endpoint. Let me try to establish the connection. So go here, let it be same, but change the endpoint of type MySQL default 3306 admin. So let me change the password, which I had given with respect to this database. So password, test the connection. Yep. So successfully connected. So save it and let me go inside. So connect to this mission. So I have some database inside. So this is my database. So you can see here. So some default missions will be there. So if you want to execute some queries, so this is a part of DB engineer again. So this is not a part of cloud engineer or not developer. You do not get panic about it. Hey, this console was new to me. So it might making me panic. So since it is a new panic, hey, the commands you are executing, the activity you are doing, it's a part of DB. DB people, this is not your responsibility. So cloud engineer, create a database, developer, establish a connection. That is your responsibility. So these are the default databases like schema, MySQL, schema, sys. So these are the default. So just like previous, I just created a ACS DB. While creating my databases, I given ACS DB. Similarly, in this database, I created a bank data. So this is my DB. So inside I have a tables for my purpose. So these are the, so if it is a previous DB, you don't have any tables there. So, but here I have two tables here. So I can see, so this is the user data and they have another users list. This is being created over the time. So it is being connected to a one banking application. So this data is being given by the application to this database. So let me try to create a table. So for that, you have to go to this console. So go here. So these commands explicitly belongs to your database engineers or the DB people. You don't need to get panic about. So, but just understand so how it is happening. For suppose my application wants to write users data, which includes the details name, surname, and mobile details. So I have to give the details in application. I'm giving the details. So like for registration kind of purpose. So name, surname, and mobile I have to give. So this details needs to be written to the database. So for that, there should be a database, a table should be available in the database. So for that, a table needs to be created. So let me create a table using these commands. Create a table with the name users, and it should have the parameters like name of type varchar, surname varchar, mobile number varchar with a limit of 15. So let me execute it. No database selected. Okay, so I need to select the database. So select the database DB. bank data and execute it. No database selected. One second, let me go inside. So I just created a table with the name users. So previously I have other tables. So like user data and users list. I am just creating a new table. So it is not reflecting spontaneously. So similar to this user data, users list, you should have a table here, but it is not showing. I am creating users. So let me refresh the table such that you can see the data was not spontaneously happening. So I just created a table. Let me check under the bank data. I should see CA. So actually it needs to be shown immediately here. So I created a table users. My application wants to write some data like users data. So it should have a name, surname, and mobile. So these columns are available in the application and the data should be written here. So it is a structured data. So for that, for suppose, so application will insert the data actually, but for timing, let me create some data here. So to insert the data, so I have an option called insert into the users. So this is my data. Let me insert some data into my database. So this is not your context. Again, you don't need to get panic about it. Hey, what is he doing? So do not get panic about it. So this is not your cup of tea. So it will be taken care by your guys. So take users. So I want to insert some data here. So inside the users, I want to insert some data. So this data I want to insert. So into the users, name Venkat. So surname Ramana. So mobile number, this number, you just enter it. So execute the query. So the query is being executed successfully. Now you just go to your table. So you can see the data is being inserted. So I just did manually, but in real time, these details, if a user is logged into the application, he given the name, surname, and the mobile. If the connection is being established between your application and the database, so you can write the data into here, and the data will be stored in your database. So this is a graphical user interface, SQL Electron. What is SQL Electron? So I just created a database here, but there is no graphical user interface available in my DB. So there is no graphical user interface in your AWS. So this is the database is available, but I cannot check into that. So what are the databases are available? What are the tables available? I cannot check into it. So for that, you need a graphical user interface. That graphical user interface is this is the one, SQL Electron. So if you want to execute, so what are the take this database. So database is available here. This is the database. Execute the command, show tables. So what are the tables available? Again, a DB level thing. So you do not get bothered about it. So what are the tables available? Show tables. Capitals is supposed to take. So execute the query. So these are the tables available. So users, user data, users list. Show the databases. So what are the databases available? Show databases. So this is again all database level. So you don't need to get panic about it. So I have these are the database available. So bank data, information schema, MySQL. So but engineer level, developer level, think of it. So creating a database. So in case you have an application, you are a developer, you have an application, you need a database for your application to store your application data. With some capabilities, I want a database. Think of your RDS. So do not try to install it on your traditional or virtual servers. Why? Because it lacks some features. So just go back. So I just created a database and I have a database here. So let me go to my region. So where I have been created. So Mumbai region. So go to databases. So this is being created. So endpoint. So let me simply show. We will wind up in a very soon. So it's being whenever. So very soon we'll wind up. What exactly? How endpoint will be kept? I will show where I supposed to kept endpoint. So being a developer, you might already know how to establish a connection, but still let me show how to establish a connection. So let me go to any project, any application. Let me check is there any projects are available with me. So go inside. I have a project. So assume that the files are available. Yeah, let me check inside. So go to the source code src main. So java.com loading. Yeah. So let me. So this is a page. So in the real time, what this page do? So this Java page will help to add the beneficiaries to the your application. So it will help us to. Is it being opened? Yeah. See, I just opened this. So we have a piece of code. So this piece of code will help to add beneficiary. In case it could be any kind of application. So this application will helps for the registration. Will helps for registration. Now data should be written to add beneficiary means he is a user going to be an authenticated user. Now data needs to be written to the database. How to establish the connection? So here come into the picture. So go to the section where you have the database details. Yeah. So we have a driver manager. It will establish the connection. So this block will tells us how to establish a connection. So here we have. So here it is time being. It is going to the local host. So it is being established connection to the local database. But I want to write it to the my database. So go to the database. So take this endpoint. So just copy paste your endpoint here. Endpoint. So 3306 default. So why? Because my MySQL database will listen on 3306 port. And here you have to write your database name. So while creating the database one, so I just created database, initial database, ACS DB. So you have to give your database name, ACS DB, and then you have to give a username and password. So while creating a MyDB, I had provided a username and database details. So let me enter username here. So my username was admin and I had given a credentials, use password. So that password explicitly need to be mentioned here. So some password I had given, so that password needs to be given. So these three details were mandatory. So to establish a connection between your database and your application. So at appropriate place, you have to enter your connection string. It will be also called as a connection string. Endpoint or connection string. So you just go here. So it is under the connectivity. So it is also called connection string. So they might ask, hey, being a cloud engineer, what you use to do with respect to your database? I use it to create the database and I use it to share the connection string with my development team. And I supposed to assist them in establishing the connection. And I use it to troubleshoot the connectivity issues. So with respect to the security groups and the firewalls. So it's being copied here and provide the username and password. These three details were manned. So they need to be shared. Next, you have to check with our firewalls. So later we will get the performance issues. Hey, I am trying to, this is the initial setup. Later, the moment you establish a connection, over the time they will tell, hey, Venkat, my read and write operations are slow. I am trying to submitting the data, it is bit slow. So I am trying to uploading the files, it is bit slow. I am trying to downloading the data from the database, it is a bit slow. How needs to be done? What is the reason? So you're supposed to choose appropriate DB instance class 2. And you're supposed to go for the appropriate size too. If there is no appropriate size and storage, so relatively it will going to be hang. So performance issues can be debugged later, but time being at initial level. So establishing the connection between your code and your database is the primary. So this is with respect to your RDS. So this is for today's session. So let me check, is there any conceptual understanding needs to be covered as a part of this RDS creation? So post that we will wind up. So activities, RDS overview, Advantages, auto scaling we have seen. You need to check in. So we have to check in your enable storage auto scaling. So read replicas, an explicit topic we'll discuss with respect to the Aurora. Network cost, multi-age I have shown. What exactly multi-age I have shown. So there will be a master instance. There will be a master instance. Nothing will happen to your standby. So it's just like a standby. Look at the name standby. Nothing will happen to this. So the moment you go for the multi-AZ, so there will be a synchronous replication. Replication will happen to a standby. The moment it fail, so look at it will go for the auto failover. So why? Because they were on a single DNS name, one DNS name. So the moment it is went down, so something happened to this, it is disappeared. So immediately it will fail out to a standby. Until something happened to your primary, so nothing will happen to us, nothing will doing done by your standby. Okay, so that is multi-AZ. We have seen. We'll discuss read replica. There is an additional feature called read replica that we will discuss it. So this is RDS custom. So as I told, you do not have any access to your DB instance. So but RDS custom was there. This we'll discuss in coming classes. Yep. So there is another. This is explicitly MySQL engine. So here, what I have used, the engine I have used was MySQL engine. If you go to a database, so go to the databases. While creating also I have chosen. If you choose, so the engine was MySQL community engine. Even even my AWS also making use of MySQL engine and building my database. Hey, this is a open source code. There is a performance lag. I'm not happy with that. So AWS, they have a very good community, just like MySQL. They come up with their own database. Hey, why should I depend on MySQL software? It is a open source. It has some limited capabilities and limited performance. I have much better capabilities. I have the community. So let us build a better database than the MySQL. But if people are intended, hey, your Aurora might cost me something. No, 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 I don't want. Let me go with only MySQL. Then MySQL is a choice. Nope. So I want an independent capabilities. So AWS comes with its proprietary database. Think of your AWS Aurora. What are its additional capabilities? How Aurora, what are the Aurora PHs? How it can improve the performance? So these things we'll see in the next session. So this is for today's session. Yeah. Any question?